who are you? Who are you in essence? And truth for me deals with existence and the reason why I exist. And I'm struggling now, and I'm actually on the verge of gaining an understanding of who I am outside of what we learned even at our HBCUs. See, I'm a minister, and so I went and got my master's in divinity, and I understand the profession of ministry. I understand the spirituality of ministry. But when you read so many books and you listen to so many people, you develop so many theories, and you don't practice it, you're stuck living in this realm of theory. And so most of us, we function in this realm of being theoretical and not practical. But your truth is the practical you. When that egg met the sperm, and God let that egg meet the sperm, He made you for a reason, for a purpose. Your truth is your purpose. And a lot of times we never live our truth because we don't know our true purpose. And our true purpose is an amalgamation of everything that's happened to us in life. But more importantly, the truth is the vibration and the voice that you were created to share. My truth is the vibration and the voice that God called me to speak to the people. They say speak truth to power. So what is your truth? Your truth is what the essence that God put in you that has power to transform the world. So truth isn't just something you can say, something you can do. The truth is, in essence, who you are, the core of who you are. Absence of the theory. And most of us never find that truth because we're stuck trying to validate who we are based off of what we heard and what we learned. I believe the truth, in essence, is who God created you to be. Absent of what everybody else has said and done.
It's a seat right here.
Damn. That was a response. You just
I've been meaning to get here. I'm married, so my wife sometimes tells me no, and I get home. I've been meaning to get here, and I'm really stuck in this chasm. Having a terminal degree, having a bachelor's degree, like really, why am I here? And the more I realize why I'm here, it's anti everything I heard and read. And your truth is always outside of the realm of what's already been done. I don't want to shock y'all, but I'm dealing with this realm of impossibility, right? The truth for me is anything that's impossible. So possibility is something that's already been done, been said, been heard, been thought about. But God created you to do the impossible. That means that the only way you can be your true self is if God uses you to do what's not been done or heard or saw or felt. So that's my truth. I'm trying to figure out what was I called to do that's impossible to do. That for me, that's true. I don't want to, sorry about that.
Can I piggyback on that? We already the remnants of something that is impossible. You see what I'm saying? So that's already in itself part of that truth. Because we come from something that's impossible. And we've been through things that are impossible that other people could never be through. And I can only piggyback to what all y'all said is truth is only in self. And I've been running away from that for so long. Only through my experience, as everybody else has. We live I'm 25. 21 years of my life I lived learning from other people, or people telling me what was what, or I came up in the church family. So I can kind of agree with that because I've always came up with you do right by the Bible. And it's simple as that. You don't question nothing else. You don't ask no other questions. You follow the Bible. Now I'm understanding that everything that I probably read in the Bible up until this point, I really already felt in me. So is that the truth, or is it already inside of me and I just need to live through it? So it's all in self. Whatever that truth means to you, there's no real reality, as you stated. You make your reality. So what really is that perception of what's happening? It's all about awareness. So as long as you're aware and you're walking in your truth, whatever you define that truth to be, that's what it is. Keep walking.
I want to piggyback as well. Curtis, aka Mr. Presidential, and
follow him on IG.
Exactly. Just looking at like I told my lady just 4 days ago, I'm living my dream. And then when people ask me like, yo, what you doing? I feel like I'm living my dream, and I shut most of myself down because I felt empty, like with jobs. I felt empty with music. I felt empty, and all the things that I had felt pleasure in doing, I still felt empty. And to be honest, the things that I'm doing now, I tell people like you wouldn't understand because I dreamt this. Like God had given me visions to where I would be in life, and for me to be taking these positions, I told people in middle school age, my high school age, like I didn't ever talk about a lot of things about what I'm doing. I just kind of did things on the path, and I feel like God just took me on this path. So the truth for me is still, like you said, finding that purpose and living the purpose. And I find that to be now my existence. I didn't create the job that I have. I actually almost let slip by. Like 3 weeks, I never applied for this position. My mom like, hey, go ahead, da. And I got a position now. I'm in a place to impact people at a large scale for the city. I'm in a position that I can be impactful, not just Baltimore, but Maryland. Like I'm in a position that a little black boy from Poplarton, Irvington, and Mr. Village area who did wrong a lot of times in his life, like to be here, I didn't ask for this, I didn't see myself here, but just finding my truth. And I had to, like I told you earlier, I took myself off of social media, I took myself, like me and my flip phone, whatever the purpose, the tool is, use the tool for that purpose rather than a toy. So it's like, my life is a tool. And I had to learn, I can't just play around with my life. And if you don't find yourself or working in that purpose, then you have no purpose in life. So you can easily be wiped away. So it's like, if I don't live the purpose that God has for me, my dreams, the aspirations won't benefit me or anybody else, because I seen what making money can do, I seen what being a star on stages can do, I seen what traveling can do, but it didn't give me no excitement, it didn't bring me no happiness. So my truth wasn't what I wanted my life to be. And it's like, how now, now it's just riding the wave, and just accepting what God has for me is for me. And that part, I find truth in God more than truth in man. Because like we all talked about the theories, we can take them, you can use them. It's like eat like a bird and shit like an elephant. Birds eat so much, small animals, but they just peck all day. So they eat all day. And elephants shit tons. Get rid of the waste, but take in so much because everything is used for a purpose in time. And I find truth again in God. And I feel like, again, our existence is not our own. So just piggybacking off the last two fellas.
I'm going to say my truth. First of all, my name is Chinedu Okafor, son of Dr. Cosmos Okafor and Madam Catherine Okafor of Umunakara, Isu, Imo State, Nigeria, Africa. And I say all that to say my truth always starts with where I'm from. Something very interesting, we'll talk about Roots real quick, in the movie Roots, when they introduced themselves, you always heard their name, where they're from, and who they came from, as a part of that lineage, a part of that continuation. There's a philosopher from Germany, Martin Heidegger, and he has this theory I always talk about. It's called thrownness. The idea that when you were born, you were thrown into something that was already moving. So my truth is a continuation of the truth. And the truth in my eyes is just, one, dispelling lies. Because, we all say that, one thing I noticed that, when we get older, start to realize that, you thought you were living your best life 10 years ago, 11 years ago, 12 years ago. But you realize you were lied to. And so many things you were programmed that this is, this is this and this is that and this is that, without your own mind working to decipher what is and what isn't. So my truth is living in that idea that I can decipher what is and what isn't. That doesn't have to be controlled through anybody's theories or doctrines, because those people who have those theories or doctrines are no different than me. I just wrote them down. And more or less I am very spiritual and less of religious. My truth also comes from following my intuition. I've always thought that I was going to do something great, never sure what it was. And I had a lot of stumbling in the beginning, like a lot of people telling me that what I was doing was wrong and bad, and I wasn't going to make it. The typical shit. But even in that, I always knew that no, this is right. Like God is telling me that this is the way I should go. And whenever that feeling becomes of my spirit, I never deny it. So my truth is to move with the Spirit, and I believe wherever that Spirit moves me to, it's where God wants me to go to, and I believe people will come along. Last thing about my truth is to be shared. You know, I can't be selfish with whatever it is that I'm receiving from God. It's not of me. It's not only of me. It's of me to give out. Because I make sure I say, no matter who I become tomorrow, doctor, lawyer, nurse, engineer, whatever, that I'm a servant. And I'm a servant of the Most High first. So all I am doing in my life is serving. And that's my truth, and I stand by that. Anybody else? What is truth to you? Or what is your truth?
Are y'all hot?
Are you high?
No, I'm good. But if not, I'm gonna turn the fan off because I'm good.
I mean, I was gonna keep it on because we all talking. It gets the hot air. Just want to circulate it.
I just gotta listen all that. Man, this was a tough question. I'm glad Mark went for me because he helped me kind of internalize what I feel as though my truth is. For a while now, I've been feeling like blessed because a lot of people go through life trying to figure out what their purpose is, and I just be feeling a lot of times like mine hit me in my face. And then when you started talking about the impossible, I was like, it hit me in my face even more because like even in my Instagram profile, who I am, what is my truth, one of the first things you see is people healer. And then when I tell people I'm a people healer, they like, what are you, God? Like, I mean, whatever you want to call it, I mean, I was made in his image, he lived within me. We all are God-like in a way. But I feel like when I think about purpose and what you're designed to be on this earth for, and when you think about even the story of Jesus and what he came to do and how we're supposed to live like that, as the story goes, and the things that just helping our fellow man, and what can I give to my brothers and the ones that come after me, and I was given the gift of understanding health and wellness, and I really feel like my life, I was put here to really literally heal people, and I'm talking about your everyday Joes to your people recovering from strokes. And I see myself walking in that path more and more every day. And I see it happening before my own eyes. And I already had people that, I needed that. I thank you. Like, that helped me. I'm in a better place now than I was before. And all that does is motivate me more. And even though I'm not where I want to be, and even though at times I feel stuck, I know that it's coming and I know that my purpose is real. And I keep seeing the signs over and over again. It's like The Alchemist, the book. If y'all ain't read that, y'all gotta read The Alchemist. But you're searching for your passion and like you end up back in the same place where you started. But you just understand and realize that that's where you're supposed to be all along. So just in one aspect, I feel like I was brought here to help people, to heal people, to literally heal them from ailments, to literally make them feel better, to literally fix the vessels that they live in, and also to educate and to fortify my people. And I think that, all of us somewhat have in common, just the place that we were born into, the situations that we were born into, the turmoil that we were born around, the stuff that we see growing up, especially in a place like Baltimore. When you're given a gift, your purpose is always going to be to uplift and build for your people, to bring them out of the situation that they were in. Keep going back to Bible stories like Moses did. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what we're really here to do. All of us are blessed in a way, like regardless of what hood you was born in or came from. Like, we not the average or the statistic or the person that we were supposed to be. So that's purpose in itself. Like, what is your reason for being here? And then when you figure that out, it's like it's our job to go back and touch the rest. So like purpose, part of the purpose is just to bring somebody else along and teach and educate and show them what it is and how it should be and how it could be if we all did it the way it's supposed to be done. And no, you're not going to get everybody, but the few that you touch is important. It's purpose.
If I could, I'd take it even a step further. That truth just isn't existence or what purpose is. The opposite of truth isn't a lie. The opposite of truth is denial. A lie, there's truth in every lie. There's no lie without the contingency of truth. So the opposite of a truth is not a lie. The opposite of truth is denial. To live your truth means you're no longer denying the uniqueness of who you are. A lie is being a replica. A lie is being cookie cutter. A lie is being something that's already been done, the way it's been done, talking how it's been done, walking how it's been done, being how it already is. But your truth is living outside of denial. See, now there was a philosopher who said truth is relative, which means that truth is individual. It's based off of your perspective, your reality, why you were created. And so the only way you can't live your truth is to deny who you truly are. And when you embrace who you are, you have to live your truth. Truth evolves. Truth yesterday won't be truth today. The way you were 10 years ago won't be who you are today, but when you embrace the small nugget of truth, it'll evolve, and then you'll end up like these two guys who I watch grow up from little babies, who have embraced their truth. He's doing music. He's touching the world through sound. He's touching the world through touch. These are truths. And when you get down to the fundamentals of purpose, it's not a profession. It's not a degree. It comes down to the essence of what you were called to do, you were called to speak to, called to touch, called to be. Some people's truth is just being qua being, just being there. Your presence is felt, your vibrations radiate and raise higher than what you ever could say. The opposite of truth isn't a lie, it's denial. And most of us deny who we truly are because we want to fit in. Our education has forced us to deny who we are. And I don't care how conscious you are, I don't care how much black power you are, you deny yourself when you don't step outside of the boundaries and confines of even your education. The opposite of truth is not a lie, it's denial.
Let me butt in one moment. So, awesome. But between what you two were saying, but I'm sorry, what's your name one more time, sir? Mark. All right. So, we're talking about, your perception. What is your reality basically, and your perception is shaped throughout the experience that you have throughout your lifetime. So there's a story that I have. Everybody has a story, and I find it a lot easier for me to tell, as I get older. You said you're a minister. You're married. How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
29.
29. All right. So I'm like looking at a reflection right now, because I'm also married. I'm also a minister. But like you said, truth, the opposite of truth is not necessarily a lie. It's like denial, right? So the hard issue for me is that everybody keeps speaking this thing about ministry onto my life, which is not something you necessarily ask for, right? So let's go back to my story. I was adopted by a pastor. Well, he wasn't a pastor, but he is now. My father, biological father, I haven't seen him since I was about 3 or 4. My mother, biological mother, is living with HIV/AIDS somewhere here in Baltimore. But God, right? So if saw it fit that I would be adopted by this Christian family, imagine had I not went in that direction, where would I be right now? What would my perception, what would my reality be right now had I not been adopted by my father now? And so he raised me up in the church, raised me up in the Christianity. Also, like Chinedu said, raised me not to be religious, even though I profess Christianity, but to raise me to be spiritual and believing that religion is like a man-made thing. And so my reality now is ministry, but my truth is not necessarily me going into ministry, right? But I could be the opposite of truth, in denial. But what if truth is forced, or you feel like it's forced upon you, right? But you don't really know if it's forced upon you. It may really be something that you're supposed to go through in life. And like you said, you knew your purpose, ASAP. It smacked you in the face, basically. So my question now is, what if your truth is not what you believe your truth really is?
It's tough. I think that,
I feel like you kind of answered your own question.
What you mean?
Because he said.
Say your name, please, sir.
Kyrie Nobody. But nah, I think you answered your own question because he said there's truth and denial. Like, and if those are the only two things that exist, then any form of denial is, you know what I'm saying, it is what it is because truth is pure. Yeah. You feel me?
Right.
And I feel that on another level, like truth and denial. Like, it's crazy because, you know, it's certain shit that you find out. Like, I think that's where, and I know we talking about perception and reality. I think that's where I am as I grow when I think of my perception of things, because I know that there are other things exist that I haven't encountered yet, which means my world is just gonna get bigger when it happens. You feel me? So for me, it's hard to hold on to certain concepts unless they make total sense, unless it makes sense for me to not believe into anything else. You know what I'm saying? And then I'll hold on. There's no denial in that truth for me. You feel me? Like, and that's how I see it. So I think that you're answering your own question, because if you feel that there is like a tug in the sense, like, you know what I'm saying, you could be scrubbing toilets, but if you know that you scrubbing toilets for the company that you want to work for, you don't give a fuck about scrubbing no toilets. You feel me? Like, you doing it because that's what you want to do. But you know the truth is that you're gonna have another opportunity. Like, that's your truth. You feel me? Scrubbing toilets not getting in the way of that. You know what I'm saying?
I do get you.
Like, it could.
Yeah, but
like, it easily could. Like, you could.
But
like, man, I ain't scrubbing no damn toilets. Like, I ain't doing that. But you don't care. Like, that's your truth. You feel me? So it's like, I feel like if that's where you want to go, or that's what you want to do, if that's your truth, then you'll just gravitate to it.
So it's not a matter of what the truth is, but a matter of what your truth is.
I mean, they both relate. Like,
so,
am I?
So I made a statement that truth evolves, but the fact that you're wrestling with truth is truth in of itself. There's no There's no such thing as perfection. There's no such thing as completion. You will always find fragments of the complete whole and be able to connect it to the bigger picture. I don't know, it's crazy. My God. Like, over the past 2 weeks,
You said you were a pastor?
Yes.
I'm not a pastor.
Oh, I'm sorry. We appreciate that.
I know, right?
Over the past couple of days,
collection plates.
Over the past couple of days, I've been getting to see the world through a third eye. Like, no lie. Like, the stuff I'm telling you all is the stuff that I really wrestle with even driving here. That's my existence. It's my truth. But it's a saying that to know something, you got to separate yourself from it. And so to know yourself, you got to separate what you believe yourself to be from who you are at that moment. And look at yourself and see what you think you see and see what you really see. And then see what you think or hear people telling you, feel the universe calling you to. So to know truth, you really got to separate yourself from that image, that thought that you think is truth. And then when you see it, you'll be able to address the parts that seem to be like denial. Because nobody, unless you just really agree with why you were created and it's the perfect image and it's everything you thought it would be, nobody embraces their truth until reality hits them and they find that, oh, this is my niche, I do it well, I embrace it. It's like being unique. People who are unique find their truth because, you know what, nobody has to accept me because I'm the only one. So if you're wrestling with truth, you're on the verge of knowing your truth. And see, I told somebody this today, I said, we gotta stop reading. That sounds crazy, right?
No.
We gotta stop reading because we've read so much, gained so much knowledge, and became so theoretical that we can't even touch truth. Because truth now becomes this philosophical concept that we move around and make it relative and fit here. No philosopher can tell me the truth.
According to Plato.
I'm the epitome of truth. The way I dress, the way I talk, what I do. Like I hated myself at one point. I was mad that I was called to be a minister. I was mad that my name is Mark Anthony. I was mad that I'm an intelligent black man from Baltimore who had some struggles, who grew up around troubled kids. But my truth is, I've been called to a higher purpose. And I had to wrestle with that truth. And now I'm beginning to understand, like, whoa, the way I talk, the way I walk, what I think, how I say, nobody else in the world will do it like that. And that is my truth. And then when we embrace that, it's like, okay, cool. Now I'm going to find out I've been in denial of something 5 years down the line. This conversation, 5 years, we're going to look back like I was denying myself some way, shape, or form by what I had on, what I thought, what I said, what I felt. Because it's like a black hole. It's like a atomic bomb. It's like a meteor. It's there, but we don't see it. We don't know it. But when it hits, it's like you said, it's like woo. But you just got to keep wrestling with it. To not wrestle with it is to be in denial.
And it's so much that goes on that puts us in a position where we don't believe in our truth. And And it was funny because I was at work talking about 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Ironically enough, that's a book. But there's a part that talks about your responsibility, and responsibility is responsible is response able, like your ability to respond. And there are different social paradigms or social determinants that determine how we think and respond to things, whether it be genetic, or we blame, or we say that it's because our parents were drug addicts, we more likely to be drug addicts, or because, you know, everybody in my family fat, I'm fat, or whatever the case may be. Then it's, you know, the way you were raised, or psychological, I think it was, and I was raised to be a Christian or Muslim or whatever, and so I gotta fit in that box, you know, even though my truth is telling me that I'm this, or I see the world in a different way that my grandparents might not have seen it, but I don't want to disappoint them, so I'm gonna be this way. Or social, and the biggest one I feel like, especially with younger people, is just the social. Like, I gotta wear J's because that's what we wear, even though I like, I don't know, Dockers or whatever.
Dockers.
Whatever you like, but we so scared to live our truth. And I won't pick that up in the store because that ain't necessarily what's cool, and I want the girls to like me, so I'm gonna pick that up in the store. Right. And all of those things cloud us finding who we really are.
So I'm
That
normally...
go ahead, sorry about
go ahead, I'm sorry.
You got it, my brother.
Can I even stop both of y'all? Because my sister had something about 13 questions ago.
No, because as y'all talking, it's like the question is like almost too deep to answer in so many minutes. But
start digging.
I'm going to try to follow what I'm about to say or whatever, right? So since we speaking of truth in a purpose way, like what's my purpose, what's my truth or whatever. I think it's more so that we should ask, why do we have purpose or whatever. And so since we all are here for a reason, for a purpose, we all know that what Malcolm X said, history is best qualified to reward our research. And so in doing that, we have to understand everything that we do is socially constructed. Why I feel the way I feel, why I wear the things I wear, why I think these thoughts that I think, because no thought is original. You know what I mean? So if no thought is original, then somebody had to have this thought, and somebody had to have a purpose too. So if we was to really look at history and analyze it in a critical way and how the world is ran, we can best understand the now and the future. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's not about, okay, my truth is that I wear these boots. It's why do I wear these boots? Why did I have the possession to get these boots? You know what I mean? And if my purpose is in analyzing these boots, what is this going to do for society as a whole? You know what I mean? Like, how is this going to propel humanity? Who is it going to propel it for? You know what I mean? And so, truth, you know what I mean, can be misconstrued if people don't understand history, you know? So in understanding history, you know yourself, and you know how you can add on to history.
I got a quick quote. I used to say it all the time, and I'm going to give you a quote. I used to say it all the time. Perception is reality, but if you can control perception, you can control reality. Like,
sure. Hold on, quick, ma'am. You didn't say your name.
Oh, Tassim.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Elijah. I go to Morgan.
Hey.
It's like, no.
Is that your truth?
I think what I would say is I think that how you understand truth is how you perceive. It be connected to how you perceive humans. So some people think, and I think we buy into it, that we are individuals. That God, the Creator, cares about you, and I don't buy that. I buy that we're a school of fish, and my only importance in this reality is if I of existence to all of us, because I believe He cares about some of us more than He cares about us as individuals. And so I think sometimes people hide behind, especially college people, college-educated people, we hide behind it. We be like, race is a social construct, so I'm not black. And we just start disconnecting ourselves from so much of it. And we get in the air with all stuff. And then you find out that you ain't really do nothing for yourself in this whole life. It was all about you. And every time you was called to do something that was really of importance, you denied that, pushed that aside, and you said race is a social construct, so I ain't really connected to all black people. I ain't really connected to this. So every time it's time to really do something really courageous, when you could have found the purpose, when you could have lived and died for something that was higher than yourself, a principle, you used your intellect, use your spirituality to to go against the Creator himself. And so, in my opinion, I think I find my purpose, like you said, in the current reality. Is that I don't find my purpose out in the air somewhere, you know what I mean? I find my purpose in the current reality, and how I understand the current reality, I have to understand history, because history made the current reality that I live in. Mm-hmm. And so if I was born black in Baltimore City, in the hood, I don't think that's just for some fantasy kind of reason, and I need to get outside myself and be like, I'm a spiritual person having a physical experience. All truth. All that's real. But I think I'm this for a reason, and I need to figure out why did all this happen to me and not disconnect from that. Mm-hmm. But I think a lot of times, especially with black people, is that we disconnect from being black. We disconnect from being in this situation. We disconnect from all of that just so we can make excuse for why I can live in Towson and other people can't. That how my kids can go to a good school and other people can't. Mm-hmm. Is that when you disconnect yourself from that, I don't have to do nothing about none of that, because that's not an issue. But you are what you are for a reason. I'm a man for a reason. You know what I mean? If you're a female for a reason. And if sometimes, if I was struggling with that since I was little, that's for a reason. So my whole reality of what I've grown up, my experience is not for a reason. But when we disconnect that and say, I'm a fairy, I don't know, we just get outside ourselves, I think you lose purpose. And I think in turn you lose yourself. And so when you come back to the Creator, you know what I mean? Or your ancestors, the people that died for you to be here, you know what I mean? And they asking you, yo, what you do for our people, yo? You know what I mean? Because I died, Harry Tubman, I died for you to be here. You know what I mean? Martin Luther King, I died for you to be here and made your whole reality so you can do something and keep the struggle going. You got nothing to tell them. Dang, y'all, I theorize and philosophy, I got all in the air with it, and I end up doing nothing for us. And then we end up being in the same situation. And you could have been one of them ones written down with history, like a Jesus, like a Prophet Muhammad, like a Moses, like a Martin Luther King. You could have been one of them ones that written down in history that actually did something, not just thought about it. You know what I mean? So I don't know about all truth and all that type of thing, but I know in Baltimore City, people ain't doing too well. You know what I'm saying?
That's the truth.
You know what I mean? That they look like me. You know what I mean? I know that they went through some circumstances, and I don't think that's happenstance. And I think if I don't do something about it, then I'm denying what's right in my face.
You brought up a point. Go ahead, my brother.
When you talk about, when you make truth relative to history, we actually walk down the street full of lies. Because everyone has a history, and all history is his story. And I hated history growing up in public schools here in Baltimore, because you walk in a history class, whose story is white men around the wall. And so we know that history is biased. And so the struggle when really trying to find the truth in history, let's see where all the histories intertwine. Because we as black people, we got a history. We told that we came to America as slaves. And we was here in America far before there were slaves. The white man don't get to America. Hold on, let me finish. The white man don't get to America. Let me finish. The white man don't get to America without an African. The Africans were here far before the white man got here. But if you study history, history will tell you so many different stories. But the reality of history is that history has the power to point you to your truth, your reality. And yeah, we can live life based off of the collective, because we are an amalgamation of everything that's happened to us. But you are an individual made like no other. Your DNA is not like anybody else's DNA unless God creates somebody, and that has happened, similar DNA. But you got to understand that your truth is why you were created, connected to the people, connected to the circumstance, to move somebody or something along. We were all created here to be a part of evolution. So history is part of it, but you got to understand really what history you're buying into. Because if we can, I don't know if everything came and started out of Africa. We believe it to empower ourselves to create our own truths. We don't know how this world started. We don't know who the first mover is.
I agree with you. I think.
You agree?
I agree, but I also.
Okay, I'm about to say, I know him.
Nah, but I think I want to pull back to the point that he was making, because I feel like black people have this powerful ability to see like this greatness in people. Like you almost see their orbs, like, you know what I'm saying? You know, like especially in the African American community, you know when you in a pile of shit and you see that child, you like, damn, you know, you really about to be something one day. Like, you know what I'm saying? And what they do, they pick them up, they put them to the sun, and they like, please carry us the fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying? Like, And then be a lot of pressure. It'd be a lot of pressure. And a lot of us, we buckle under that pressure, you know what I'm saying? The people that know the history, the people that know what the fuck is really, like, what the fuck is really going on, they talk mad shit on all these different platforms, but they don't come back to the neighborhoods where they know the people at, where they know the people need to learn, and try to really decipher that information. It's like, if I go to talk to my weed man right now, I know exactly how to talk to him. You know what I'm saying? We can have a whole full-blown conversation. But if I go to City Hall right now and I talk to somebody else, you know what I'm saying? It's a completely different conversation. I know how to have both of those. So that means I should be getting my ass in these communities and being able to talk to people, but it's not enough. You know what I'm saying? And I think I wanted to go back to what I said, you know, if you control perception, you can control somebody's reality. Because, like, you know what I'm saying, when you think like that, we got to be on all levels, you know what I'm saying? We got to have somebody up here thinking like, oh, all right, you know what I'm saying, we're going to do this, and people are going to receive it this way, and then they're going to think that this is the new reality. Because it's people that think like that, you know what I'm saying? I talked about this 2 weeks ago when we was talking about conditioning, like, you know, like conditioning, like you got to watch out, you know what I'm saying? And if you got to be playing that same game, because if you're not, then you setting yourself up to lose.
That's all it's about, though, bro. Like, as far as I want to go back to what you said about the deeper question is, what is truth itself? Because if we're talking about perception, then what's right from wrong? Or what's truth and a lie? Yes. Truly, what is it? If you just gave us the definition of saying that perception means just the awareness of what's going on around us, then exactly what's truth in general. We all said the same thing. Me just listening, we all said self. Yeah. We all said my truth is this. And then you even took it even deeper to say his story. Well, his story may look different depending on what your truth is. Yeah. So with that being said, it goes back to perception. If perception is what I see things to be, we got to get beyond, like you said, well, we were talking about it before, but he went back to it, language. Yeah. When you have a conversation to somebody, and then I can have a conversation with somebody else, but it's two complete different conversations, what really was that language? You see what I'm saying? What really was it? So now let's look past that. That's just, language is just another perception. So the Africans, well, us, you see what I'm saying? It's been proven that, well, in Africa, the north is south and the south is north, technically. And they migrated, then they migrated everywhere else. So it's been proven that we are the beginning and the end. But nonetheless, the perception starts where if we start taking heed to, we make that perception, or let me give it to you what we was talking about when you talk in your mind. Yeah. The fact that I can see something that I did last week, I remember my last Friday, I can see it vividly. You see what I'm saying? But I inspired to be something big. You see what I'm saying? I can see myself doing it. Right. I'm already there doing it now while I'm here talking to y'all right now. Right. With every step that I go, I can see myself manifesting things. How many times in your life have you manifested something that you already see? You see what I'm saying? So we have the power to time travel. But because people can't put their hands on it and understand that perception, they make movies out of a machine that say time travel. We already figured it out. We do it every day. You see what I'm saying? Saying, what is the sound that hears that you didn't speak of? But I can hear myself in my head say something. Like, all these things are deep. Like, and it's nothing but perception being shown that we manifest these things. That's why truth is nothing but you. It's no deeper. We don't really have to make it no deeper than the fact that it's only my understanding of what I want it to be.
So we just.
But I think. Go ahead.
All right. So we basically just came up with the fact that we all have the ability to manifest truth by ourselves individually. But the issue within the black community in America is that we have these individualistic mindsets.
Yeah, everybody
so
agree the individual truth thing. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Right.
I'm in disagreement with that.
Oh, you in disagreement with that?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I was trying to say.
Well, but if people,
I got you.
All right. So if people come together.
Well,
oh, right, yeah, I get you, right.
School of fish, we're not individual fish.
There you go, right. So if we could come together, exactly. So if we could come together as that school of fish, why is it so hard for us to come together and create a like-minded perception?
But let me tell you though, language, because we threw out language, but language translates realities.
Why?
Like, I believe that. Because, all right, so check me out. Great example. I live right outside the Northeast Market. I come outside, these dudes they be chilling on my foot, or sometimes they be sitting on my steps, right? I bought, totally unrelated, I went to Barnes & Nobles, I bought a speed reading book. Because I want to be able to read faster so I can get through shit. Like, I'm about to start a new job. I need to be able to keep learning my own shit and some new shit. You feel me? So, the book, deadass say, speed reading for dummies. Big yellow ass book. I sit outside, like the old ladies always sitting on my corner, you know, they just be out there, you know, talking and stuff. So I sit down, you know what I'm saying, in front of my house, and I read my book, yo, and I know they can see it. I come out my door one day, it's like 5 dudes sitting on my steps, chilling, talking, laughing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they might be doing what they doing, selling what they selling, but they chilling. You know what I'm saying? So I ain't gonna bother them. They not getting in no trouble for real, so I'm gonna let them be. You feel me? But I'm about to sit out here and be on my steps though and read my book. As soon as I come out the door, oh, my fault, man. Nah, man, sit down, have a seat. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just about to be sitting here reading my book, so it's cool, right? Next dude, this dude yell Batman like 15 times a day. And I know what Batman is, bro. Yelling it. He talking to me, talking about books. Like, I'm translating. But they see me walking out in my suits going to City Hall. Like, they see that. Like, I know they see that. And a lot of them would never talk to me. So with language, you know what I'm saying? Body language, whatever, I'm translating a different reality because they think one thing of me.
So Wittgenstein, philosopher, and I'm grateful for my foundation of reading the philosophy. He said language does 2 things. We're always in a language conflict. Right. Language defines things. It gives its definition and shape. Right. But language also destroys things. Mm-hmm. And so that's why language becomes that whole source of truth. Language either defines your reality or defies your reality. And so the moment we understand the power of language and what we say and how we say it, and then what we said becomes the history that becomes the foundation. Because even if you want to quote Dr. King, and you don't really know when you're quoting Dr. King, who's quoting somebody else that actually might have said a lie, because Dr. King plagiarized a lot. We don't even know where a lot of stuff he said came from. So we got to be careful when we quote history unless we know the foundation of where it comes from. But I agree that our truth is a conglomerate of everyone and why we were all created. But you can't embrace that universal or that collective truth until you embrace your individual purpose. Because if we all came together, then we become a mosaic. A mosaic is a picture made up of broken pieces of glass. Nobody's perfect, so we all have broken parts. Our tabula rasa has been cut up and screwed by life, especially us black people. But when we embrace our purpose, we become those fragments in the mosaic, and now we have a picture.
I was going to say this as soon as you said something about black people. I'm a black man, even though I don't look like it.
You're the blackest man in the room.
Right, I'm the lightest black man in the room. I love this concept of collectivism and then the concept of individuality. And I love how people get them both confused when they're actually one and the same. The problem is that, yes, you are individual. Yes, we're a collective. We are an individual collective. Meaning you are your own piece that adds to the whole pizza, if you will. And I see that more importantly, I'm quoting Minister Farrakhan, I'm not sure who he's quoting, but I see that more or less in the beauty of ants. Ants are mimetic. They are small little pieces that are insignificant. But once they know they gotta do something, they come together, they become this rock solid thing. They can now float on water. They can now carry stuff 10 times their size because they understand that I am an individual alone. But when I connect with these individuals who have similar goals, I can still be my individual and I can be an individual helping my collective. I think what happens is our people then in our egos believe that we must be the individual leader of the collective. And that's where it gets confusing. Because like, no, I'm the leader. No, I'm the leader. No, nigga, we the leaders. And we are leading. You know, we are a percentage. And you make up that percentage. Whether you be 10, whether you be 18, whether you be 30, none of us individually are 100. We are together to make that 100%. But like I said, with egos, and you know, with somebody telling me, that's why I don't like sometimes when people say, man, you're doing a good job. I like how you did this better than that person. Just tell me I did a good job and call it a day, because that then builds me up to say, like, shit, man, I did more than her. Shit, I need to get more money, I need to get more credit, I need to get more. But the credit only comes if we are successful as a people. And I'm gonna end like this. That's why I always talk about the Chinese. And I keep talking about them because at the end of the day, you can have your Wong, your Fong, your Long, but China wins. If Jay-Z is worth 500 million, but you only worth $5, we lost. That's an F. Because we're not winning. You know what I'm saying? It'd be better if we're all worth 100,000 compared to somebody being worth so much more than most of our millionaires are from Asia, China specifically. So that's my whole idea of that collective and that individualism. It works together if you can understand the truth of we are tied together by a garment, Martin says. A garment of mutual destinies. Yeah. These are millions of fibers to make one shirt. This fiber ain't telling this fiber that it's better. And I think we have to remember that's really what we are. But again, the perception of this world is, no, you're president, she's secretary. You're leader, and that's fine. No, we all play the same roles interchangeably.
Well, question. All right, so on the topic of individualism and, come together as a collective, it seems that in the 80s, 70s, 60s, when we had these, big black leaders it was one person that was leading the MLK, Malcolm X, who were leading a whole bunch of people into one direction. It seems like you said, it's not that one person, you talk about one person trying to be the individual leader of an entire team, but like sort of like in a selfish way. But it seems that like people were more so on one mind and one accord during those times. It seems like it. No, because now everybody
because as soon as that leader was removed, what then happened?
But also,
right. So what happened? What happened?
Like all these people was part of collectives, like SCLC, Nation of Islam. He was just a spokesman for the Nation of
Islam.
Well, right. It's like these people was part of collectives. The reason why it's like the one accord thing is because it's. You got support. You got to submit to a collective. You got to submit to
that's
a
just
team.
it.
That's not happening.
You said support.
The thing is, we like, like you said, we are individuals. You know what I mean? But when it's time to, because your purpose changes. You know what I mean? If somebody come in here with a gun, my purpose is not to live another day. You know what I mean? If y'all my people, somebody got to make sure that he don't kill all of us because we all got to survive. See, people don't want, I'm saying people use their intellect, college people use their intellect to get away from doing stuff like that because they be like, no, my purpose is to teach kids, so I got to survive. Oh, you know what I mean? to be a coward, you know what I'm saying? Wow. To get away from really doing what you called to do, like you said with ants, is people not submitting to a collective thing. Because when you submit to that collective thing, you'll sacrifice ego, you'll sacrifice your arms.
And that was my point. I was trying to make. It seemed like people were submitting to more of a collective thing in that time, but it seems like now everybody has their own their own individual agenda. Even though we all know that we're in the same place.
I just want to say, I think the priorities of our identity have changed. Before the Black Power movement, things like that, we were all black. But I don't think we don't identify as being black, African, whatever y'all black people with this skin tone want to identify as. We identify more as, I'm a woman first. So my purpose is whatever avenue being a woman is. Or I'm an athlete first. So my purpose is whatever athletes do. You know what I mean? That's what my collective is.
That's
and your
crazy.
Collective gotta be bigger than that. It gotta be more. It gotta be something way more bigger than. You know what I mean? I like nutrition, so I'm connected with just nutritionists. It gotta be bigger than that, because that's how you move society. And I think what you have to do when studying history to find real truth, you have to study culture. Because when you study culture, you can understand a lot of people in different avenues to see where that mind came from. So if I'm trying to understand American history, I know that comes from European history and European culture, and you can understand philosophy, nutrition, all different avenues through the culture that they have adopted. If you want to understand Africans and how they move, you understand the culture of what birthed some of their things, and you can analyze how society produces now why you get so many different people acting the way they act, because people are born out of different cultures, you know what I mean? And so their views of truth is different, but there is a real truth. You know what I mean? Somebody's living life disconnected from how to push life. And somebody's living life to push life, and when those things, you know what I mean, intertwine, now you get people that's living, if you get the majority of people who live in anti-life, which is how America is running, then you get all these people being disconnected from how to really live. You know what I mean? And then the truth is up in the air. But so you have to, anything that is truthful is kind of black and white. Maybe how you get there is in the gray. You know what I mean? But truth is black and white. You know what I mean? Like, everything has to be anti-life in what you do. And you have to be part of a collective that is true to you. And how you get with part of a collective, you have to understand culture. And once you understand culture, you understand everything up until now of how you got here and what you had to do moving forward. So you will know your identity and how it connects to me, you, and you, and you, and you. You know what I mean? Like,
I wanna.
Hold on, can I just read this comment real quick from one of our viewers at home? Viewer at home, we're reading your comment. She reads, this is about the whole, y'all said everyone seemed more together back then. She said, everyone was on one note back then because of segregation. Like we had our own, basically our own voice, our own togetherness. But once the integration came, everybody then found their own instrument, if you will.
Okay.
Can I
That's a good point.
I think because we talking about truth,
Sir,
right?
so we're asking people to announce their names.
Oh, Rashad State. So we talking about truth, and I think a lot of times we get clouded through wanting to see our history as in a utopian type of way, right? And the reality of knowing our history, sometimes we got to be cautious of even studying ourselves. Because when it's time to rewrite our own narrative, we paint ourselves as a Picasso or a Basquiat, when really we was just a color and a crayon, right? And I think that
outside of lines.
The time in our history that gets misconstrued most of the time is during that 40s through the 60s era. Us as black people during the 40s through the 60s era was not as unified as we portray ourselves to be now in 2010 and beyond. Snick did not get along with Slick.
It's true.
Because if they did, they wouldn't have created two different organizations.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you're right.
Because if Delta got along with AKA, there wouldn't be no Delta. Right? So in the sense of all that, even back then, that's the early 1900s. These organizations and blacks all came with different ideologies, different methodologies based off their own upbringing and based off of their cultural and geographical locations. Snick did not get along with Slick. 60% of the black Americans in the United States did not agree with Martin Luther King.
Till he died.
Which is why he got stabbed by his own people before he even got plucked in his eye by a white man. Right? In the sense of that. So we got off to understand, and then the civil rights movement did not start originally as a civil rights movement. It got curtailed by political genre and rhetoric once they were able to sit at the table. And the civil rights movement was passed down to them from the presidential office because they were naturally going to inalienable rights and human rights as a people for sovereignty. And then King picked up the book and realized, uh-oh, I didn't integrate my people in a burning house when I should have been writing for economics and equity. Because then at that point he realized it wasn't never about equality. But the newspapers that we didn't own at the time started printing equality, and because we only 30% of us actually approved of King and X, we picked up the equality and marched with it when he got killed for equity. So now we living in 2017, honoring a man and a purpose of his vision that he didn't even die for.
Wow.
Right? So in the sense of us trying to rebuild ourselves, we're still falsifying who we are as a people because we still don't know the truth.
My God. My God.
So we're shambled. So the point of defining your truth is, I think, is coming to whatever space of comfortability you grow into to live your life in your purpose that you think that you found. Right? My truth might be, I ain't shit. Your truth might be, I'm the greatest alive. But I gotta live with that for the rest of my life. And that's when Cognitisonians come in. And that's when James Baldwin's come in, because once you realize your truth and your reality, the rest of the world has to adapt to that. The universe adapts to your truth, which is why reality is not perception, because you can wake up every day and change your perception to the reality that you live in. Which means you're going to change and evolve into a different truth every time you grow and you mature. Right? One person might believe in flat earth, but you can't tell that person it ain't no such thing as a flat earth. Somebody might go to heaven when heaven don't even exist. Because in their mind, they created a spiritual paradise, so once their spirit goes somewhere else, they're going to reincarnate into a heavenly gate. You see what I'm saying? But if a person says, I believe in hell, and they believe that they have not been fit on the right moral compass, they will eventually end up in hell. And atheists will just live on to reincarnate into whatever spirit that the universe already set a line to them when their number was picked on this world. Right? Everything is numerology, everything is science, everything is numbers.
right? Then I think once we find out where our number is, then we can find out what the unit is, right? And that's what I believe, but I hate to hear us as a people talk about we were so unified in the night. What the fuck we wasn't?
That goes back to the lie that's perpetuated by the man.
Huh? Let bro get in when you get a
Yeah.
chance.
I ain't want to cut him off.
That goes back to the lie that's perpetuated by the man that creates a history that we study to tell you that, as he said, everybody supported King. No, they did not support King. And the reality, I want y'all to go home and ask your grandparents if they're still living, did they support King? And the reality of it is, probably 75%, 80% of them wouldn't. I know that to be true because when we've had opportunities to march for social justice, most of the people that we're connected to won't do it. They look at you like you're crazy. And so just imagine your grandparents and your great aunts and uncles, they did not support
without
them.
the internet.
But again,
now he cool and pop.
but then let's take it a step further. So when you study history to find truth, you gotta always go back to find out where the histories intertwine. Because King was an ideal. The same way we talk about Harriet Tubman is the same way she's an ideal. Because if you really study Harriet Tubman, there's no way in the world, she's a superhero for us and we don't realize it. Take the mask off. She didn't really free all those people they say she did, but America creates this ideal of a Harriet Tubman to minimize Nat Turner so we can create a Django and praise Django before our kids know who Nat Turner is. We gotta be mindful of studying the history because as I said, history is always history that's created for you to perceive reality in a certain way.
Think about what the alternative to Martin Luther King was in that time. Are you a panda? No, they communists. We can't have no communists coming up. We can't have that coming back. We can't have no more pandas. We can't have no more X. We can't have no more. So Martin Luther King was always regarded as the guy, the peace. Like that's the message that they want to portray through the history books, and that's why we never did learn about the pandas. That's why we don't learn about the pandas.
Words.
Hold on, I wanted to.
So the point I was going to touch on. So what Shaw was kind of saying how we are broken apart into different sections, how back in the day we was broken apart. But I want to go a little deeper than even picking different sections of people. We broken down so bad where it's those our black men and our black women are on different stages. So somewhere along the line, you know, you got our black women saying, I'm a strong woman, I'm gonna do my own thing. I don't need no man. I don't need this. I don't need that. But at the same time, our men are doing things on their own. So beyond just us as a collective, as a people not being together, our own households aren't together. So when you got the women on one stage fighting for whatever they fighting for, if they fighting for equal pay, if they fighting for manage their home, if they gotta raise a child by themselves, whatever they fighting for in their life. And then on the other stage, we got our men fighting for things at the same time. So you say we separate as people, but we separate at home. You know, before you can even get to the whole grand stage of your whole bodies of persons, your whole people, the whole population, your household is not even together. You know, they put, you know, and I don't know how many of these numbers are factual, but when they drop statistics, they try to make it seem like, and we went to that meeting, they make it seem like our people are so broken apart. They say over 70% of our household are raised by single parent homes. So if our kids growing up raised by single parents, 70% of that. I don't think some people don't even think about how deep that is. You know, because I'm a young man who grew up with a single parent mom and my dad wasn't there. I'm 31 now, but at the same time, I do wish my dad was in that household to teach me certain things that I didn't have to learn from the street. To show me certain things that I didn't have to learn from other men. You know, so I always go back to, okay, we do need to come together as people. But we got to get our house together first. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people living in broken homes. A lot of us. If we want to be truthful, a lot of us come from broken homes. A lot of us come from your dad wasn't there. A lot of us come from your mom might was on drugs. So it's like, okay, how do you fix home first? So I always look at it like, sometimes you got to fix yourself. Sometimes you got to correct home before you can go out into the world and start making adjustments and uplifting and fixing other people. Because if your house is not fixed and is not put together, then you won't have other people looking at you like, bruh, you're not even okay over there. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, we do need to come together and we do need to uplift each other. We do need to be more on the same page. And I agree with that. but also I feel like it's steps to that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you need to make sure you good first before you help anybody else. You know, that's just the point I wanted to make on what you were saying about
Elijah. You spoke on something most powerful, speaking exactly to that point. You was talking about self. My bad, bro.
Assertive. This
Now you next.
Yeah, go ahead.
But we're collective. We're collective.
Go ahead.
I was just highlighting, you know, Elijah posted something on Instagram from a panel that he was at not too long ago, and he just spoke on getting your household together, and even for your household yourself, and he talked about how, you know, everybody is so for the change, and so for the community, and so for the uplift, but won't make the simple sacrifices for self to make you a better person, so you can, one, take care of yourself, and two, be a role model, and three, be able to execute all the things you need to do in the community. You know, we want the community to be better, and we mad because the liquor store in every corner, but we keep going to the damn liquor store.
Yeah.
You know, we want them to stop locking up black men for selling weed, but we keep going to the damn liquor man. We feel me? We want fathers to be in the household, but we can't stop fucking everything that open their legs.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? So when do we check us first? And once we check us first, you feel me? All of us got vices. All of us do what we ain't supposed to do. And we gonna keep going. You feel me? We always gonna fall short. But until we make an effort to fix us, how can we fix everybody else? How can we bring the masses together if we not even gonna work on what we do wrong?
I think.
Oh, hold on, no, bro. Keep going with 16 questions.
Yeah.
You gonna get her today.
That's like AD.
I mean, all y'all, and I'm taking it in. And like, my granddad, I'm 24 now, but since the age of 12, he always told me 10%. 10%. I was like, what you talking about? And he was like, the civil rights movement, it was only 10% participation. And that he know what, that he, with his research and his time and his energy, 10%, I was like, that's not a lot. But he said the media made it seem like it was a lot. So with that being said, I always ask everybody, and man, like, we had this conversation today, like, I read the message to the grassroots like at least once a month. Now every time Malcolm X talk about that Asian girl putting her father on his knees and pulling the trigger because he was Uncle Tom, I always ask all my brothers and sisters, are you willing to pull the trigger if somebody in front of you stopping you from your liberation? Are you willing to give up everything that you got so far just for that extended lifetime where you can sit right there and you can be like, I'm actually free? Will we ever be free? Who knows? Like, that's a mental, it's a physical, it's emotional, it's a spiritual, whatever way you want to take it. How deep you want to go, that's totally up to you. But I'm talking about right here, in this existence right now, like we want to be together, we say we want to be together, and we right here belittle each other. Like, you might got Phil Valentine talking about Dr. Umar. Like, I mean, it's just an egotistic mindset in the conscious community. People want to relate to it, people don't want to relate to it. But at the end of the day, like, I don't care. Me personally, I don't care what you are, what you study, this and the third. But at the end of the day, are you willing to die for the bigger picture? And a lot of people are selfish. And it's fine. If that's what you want to do, then that's fine. But don't sit right here and turn your back. Like, don't be. I don't tell you, don't be black all the way up to it's time to us be black. Like okay, with the hip hop, with the fashion, with everything that come out. Oh yeah, we cool with that. But then when that injustice comes, when that police officer put you this, that, and third, I'm not even black, or I'm not this, I'm not that. So it's like, what you gonna do?
I'm OJ.
No, but I think. Oh, okay.
Like, this is just saying, like, just man, pick a side. Like, we let too many people. We let too many people jump sides.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, what you gonna do? Like, we sit right here. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we was already hospitable coming in when we let your parents sit at the feet, learn everything and take it from us. Like, we hospitable. We still hospitable. We still getting slapped in the face. And we so used to getting slapped in the face that we just walk like, oh no, it's alright. It's like, I'm gonna keep getting slapped. I'm gonna keep going.
Call it perseverance.
Yeah, we say. And we say right there. We say like, yeah, we got some people like, don't get me wrong, like Malcolm X was at this point where he was trying to go directly to the system, trying to cut the head off the system, and it didn't work. And then you had Dr. King, where like over time he started becoming this quote unquote rebel, whatever you want to call it. You know, the letter from the Birmingham jail, like you read it, you understand it. He saw that he fucked up, but at that point it was too late. Like, it was too late. Now we're in this integration. Now we so dependent on the white person. Man, we need white people to come protest. We need white people to come sign this and sign that. Like, get up on your ass. Get up. Like, get up. Do what you gotta do. But it's hard because we so conditioned. Now we not producers no more. We consumers. We take this $1.5 trillion and we gonna spend it. Only 10% that go to businesses. Black businesses at that. So we sit right here. I'm sitting right here. I got an app. I developed an app called Horticulture. Horticulture. It's a simple app. Self-awareness app. Meditation. Black businesses. What to deal with depression. We don't handle depression well in the black community because I don't got that shit. Ain't nothing wrong with me. I'm gonna go drink. I'm gonna go smoke. I'm gonna go fuck these girls. Do whatever I gotta do to cope. But it's gonna come back and start saying, bruh, I need to talk to you right quick. I need to talk to you right quick. We don't have that. We don't have it because we're afraid, we're scared. We all these other, there's so many attitudes you can throw out there that don't even make sense. But I'm like, we come from this background. We could be rich, we could be poor, we could be kings, we could be queens, we could be servants, no matter what it is. Everybody wasn't a king, everybody wasn't a queen.
Number 4.
But we gotta get, number 4. So we get to that point where it's like, we sit right here, we talking about this history, and we think it's all words. Nah. Some of us was foot soldiers. Some of our ancestors was foot soldiers. Like they had to sacrifice for that king, for that queen. But now we sitting right here like, who's the next savior? Who the next person? Who the next king? Who the next pop? Who next anything? It's right here. That's a group.
I think the important part is, and I agree.
I'm sorry to interject, but after you, we're gonna go into
okay.
New direction and new activity.
I got you.
Hold on, I want to touch on that. Yeah, you got it.
I got you.